Good evening. I call the regular meeting of the Ames City Council for September 28th to order. And to start out, we're going to have two proclamations. The first will be Watershed Awareness Month, and Tracy and staff. Watershed Awareness Month, whereas a water quality collaboration continues among the cities of Ames, Huxley, Nevada, and Gilbert, Story County, Prairie Rivers of Iowa, Leopold Center for Sustainable Agriculture, Story County Community Foundation, Isaac Walton League, and Story County Soil and Water Conservation District. And whereas the purpose of the Story County 10-year water monitoring program is to collect and analyze water sampling data, to increase residents' knowledge and understanding and identify problems in our watershed to support and improve surface and groundwater quality. And whereas water quality and flooding issues in rivers, lakes, and streams cannot be mitigated without good stewardship of the private, public lands and the watersheds that drain those waterways. Whereas implementing green infrastructure, using native vegetation, and improving soil health aids in absorbing and filtering out excess nutrients and pollutants through use of the land. And whereas educating about how we impact the health of watersheds where we live, work through our everyday activities. And whereas keeping our watersheds healthy protects public health, water supply, fisheries, wildlife, agriculture, supports economic development, and enhances recreation activities in our communities. Therefore, I, John A. Hala, Mayor of the City of Ames, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 as Watershed Awareness Month. I urge every citizen within Story County to recognize the importance of the watershed in which you live and to commit to learning and identifying how you can make a difference, even in your own backyard. And Tracy, I'll turn it over to you. Maybe you can explain a little bit what a watershed is, too.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you, Mayor, very much. So we all live in a watershed. If you think about it, everywhere that a drop of water goes, then it leads to a body of water. And that takes with it nutrients and everything that's on the top. Unfortunately, with droughts, as we are experiencing now, those loads are continuing to build up. And then when we get this heavier rain of an inch, then all that's going to go right down into the storm sewer and into the streams. While a lot of the streams you can walk right now, we are hopefully going to be mitigating flooding in our community and continuing to improve water quality. And with that, it really does take a collaboration. And so we have several people here tonight with us that is just a piece of the team, but very important. So Liz Calhoun, Penny Brown-Huber. Liz Calhoun's with Public Works Engineering. Penny Brown-Huber and Dan Haug are both with Prairie Rivers of Iowa. And Dustin Albrecht's with Water and Pollution Control. And so we're all working to improve water quality and flooding in our project. So we have a big event coming up this week to celebrate We Are Rivertown of the Year. And so on Thursday evening, we have Chad Pergacki coming to the City Hall Auditorium, which is a free event. He's going to do a presentation. He does a lot of river cleanups. He's worked a lot in the Mississippi River and has a book that he'll be signing as well. And then on October 1st, we have a film festival, Prairie Rivers of Iowa. You can get tickets through their website. And then we are doing a great river and stream cleanup on October 2nd, which will be in Iowa Creek. So,
what time on Thursday night and where?
So Thursday night, doors will open at 6:30. We have a presentation at 7 p.m. And the mayor will be very graciously with us that evening. So we greatly appreciate that. And it is a free event in City Hall Auditorium. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Put this back.
Not necessarily. Do you want it?
Next is Fire Prevention Week, and I joked before we started, I wondered, is anybody at the fire stations? But we have a distinguished group of gentlemen. If you will come forward, I'll be happy to read the proclamation. Fire Prevention Week. Whereas the City of Ames is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally. And homes are the locations where people are the greatest risk from fire. And whereas home fires killed more than 2,770 people in the United States in 2019, according to the National Fire Protection Association. And fire departments in the United States responded to 339,500 home fires. And whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before you can, alerting you to danger in the event of a fire, which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and Ames residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sound of the alarms and knows how to respond. And Ames residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas Ames residents will make sure their smoke detectors and CO alarms meet all the needs of all their family members, including those with sensory or physical disabilities. And whereas the Ames Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas Ames residents who are responsive to public education measures are better able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2021 Fire Protection Week theme, Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety, effectively serves to remind us it is important to learn the different sounds of smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. Therefore, I, John A. Hala, Mayor of the City of Ames, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the week of October 3rd through 9th, 2021 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the city. And I urge all the people of Ames to learn the sounds of fire safety for Fire Prevention Week 2021 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the Ames Fire Department. And Doug, are you going to say some words? Anybody else going to address?
Thank you, Mayor, Council, for recognizing us for this Fire Prevention Week. It's an important week. We like to say we should do this year round and not just focus on 1 week, but we do. You know, we have fairly robust smoke detector program in the city. You call, we'll send a crew out. We'll help you get one installed, help you with the hardwired systems, which are a little more difficult now. The crews are out there doing it. You know, fire prevention over the course of my career, historically, there was big numbers for fires across the country, but that's gone down over the years. And we like to say that it's because of the efforts we do in fire prevention. Those don't make the headlines. You know, the stuff we do before the fire to help people with our extinguisher program, getting out there, helping people. We'll go through the Vintage Cooperative. We've been up there several times for different ventures. We're out in the community to say, hey, we can make you safer year round, not just this week. But we thank you for recognizing us this week. And just so you know, all 3 stations are adequately staffed right now.
Are you sure?
And if the tone drops right now, everybody that's not wearing one of these is going to leave really quick. Okay, so yeah.
You want to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Yeah, we have Commander Lucchese. He's the shift commander on duty today. Lieutenant Josh Bennett's down at Station 3. Inspector Zip. He does a lot of work for us in the building code side of it. You know, we can prevent fires by those engineered things that go into buildings, so it protects firefighters and the public. So Jason does a lot of work there. Phil Brecky's driving the big ladder truck today. Matt Thompson's riding on the big ladder truck today. Chad Bundy from Station 1. Axel Silva, one of our newest firefighters. We had 5 new people started about a year ago now. And then Deputy Chief Tom Hackett. So thanks again for having us.
I've always been amazed at how much training you go through every year. Can you just talk about that for a second from a standpoint of fire prevention, but also what you have to do to fight fires? I mean, it is hundreds of hours a year. Is that not correct?
It is hundreds of hours
Can you
of
explain
years.
why that is just for a second so people understand
Well, it's,
what
you
you go
know,
through?
yeah, well, obviously the fire department, you know, that's our name. But what do? Vehicle extrication, ice rescue, water rescue, hazardous material response, EMS response, all those things. And to remain efficient and proficient, you're trained. Football teams don't just go out on Sunday and play. I'm not a sports fan, so I think maybe they play other days too. But anyhow, they don't just go out on Sunday and play a game. They practice all week long, right? So that's in essence what we're doing. And to stay current with those skills, as you know, we're transitioning to an EMT level medical service. So there's been tons of training hours that have gone in to getting our people up to that level and bringing people that weren't to that level at all to that level. So the EMS is really driven hard with 5 new firefighters on crews, throwing ladders, pulling hose. All the basics are happening regularly to help them become efficient at their new skills. But it also helps those that have been in the service for a long time to maintain that efficiency. So all the hats that we wear, it's not just a fire department anymore. So all those things require individual training.
Well, thank you. On behalf of the City Council and the City of Ames, we appreciate your efforts. I know that you guys go in and risk your lives a lot of times, and I just sleep well at night knowing you guys are there to respond if we need you. So,
Thank you.
and hopefully I never need to see you at my home.
That, you know, we're the people that you're glad you have, but you hope you never see us.
That's right. Exactly right.
So,
All right.
and thank you for the
Yeah.
support of the council
You bet.
and the city to give us the equipment and the people we need. So,
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Come on down Station 3 sometime. We'll hook you up.
All right. I asked if I could drive the truck. All right, moving on to consent. Council, there is a one minor change on item number 23. The change order should read $607,678.37 in lieu of the $564,300. That is in the or on the agenda. Council wish to pull any item this evening from consent? Hearing none, entertain a motion approving consent with the one minor change to item number 23.
Move consent.
Second. Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We're going to open up public forum. This is time we set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those listed on the agenda. And we ask that people would limit their comments to 3 minutes or less. And I have one card in front of me from Richard.
I hope to God I can speak in 3 minutes. I kind of figure I want to be on the agenda. I wanted to start off by saying about a month ago, Mayor, you came out of City Hall. You were surprised at some of the news I had gave you when the city of Ames was trying to do the motto. I wanted the motto to be Name Ames Home. And you decided to make it a smart choice. And I was very hurt by the whole process of that whole arrangement. It was a previous council, and I kind of want to. I was so hurt by it. It's like I went into Mary Greeley and I told them to kill me, give my lungs and organs to people and that live a better life than I have, because I was hurt by some of the things the police had told me that particular morning. It's like I was out there opening the door like I often do, but I was I didn't know quite exactly how to do it, but I was offering to take people out to lunch, handing them $10 and say, let's go out to lunch, sir or ma'am. And somebody called the police, and Lieutenant Spencer from the Ames Police Department says, Richard, if you take people out to lunch, we're going to throw you into prison. And you can be kind to people there. I've never been to prison, but I've been in psychiatric units, since I was 4. I'm crazy. But some of the people that call me crazy, B.F. Skinner would give his own infant kid electric shocks to teach his own infant kid to be scared to death of mice. It's like better to be mice than their own infant kid. And of course, they do that to anybody's kid. They did it to their own. And Einstein used to say, I'm God, when other scientists would present him theories of the universe. And anyway,
Richard,
I'm very upset by a lot of that sort of stuff.
Could you make sure it's related to city business, please? Your comments?
Well, I was given a ban and bar letter for being, as some of you know, it's like I forgot to ask John Tuttle, the man who gave that thing to me today. It's like it says I can't be, if I take off my clothes at City Hall, I would be issued a no trespass order. And it's like I can't even be naked in my own apartment when I'm the only one in it. And the police have knocked on my door and ordered me to put my clothes on in my own apartment when I'm the only one in it. And I've never forgiven the Ames Police Department for treating me the way they treated me that day. And it's like I can't even be naked in my own apartment. So why can't I be naked?
Richard, this is not really related.
I consider this my job.
Richard, please.
All right.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wants to address council this evening under public forum? Seeing none, we will close public forum and we'll go on to item 25, Public Works Staff Report on Sidewalk Infill Complete Streets. Tracy?
Yes, thank you very much. So we are in amongst, though you see construction all around, we are amongst the design for the next batch that will be bid this winter for the 22 construction. And so there's one program, the Asphalt Street Pavement Improvement Program, with multiple locations that we wanted to come before you and just talk about sidewalk infill. So Hafiz Ibrahim's our project engineer on this one. And so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Okay. Most of the streets in this program already have
Pull it forward.
sidewalk on both sides of the street, except 2 streets, and that's Tapajado and Opal Drive. Those 2 streets have a sidewalk on one side, but the other side doesn't have any sidewalk on it. So we currently on early design of the projects. Tracy, I have a couple of maps up there, I guess. So as you can see on the map, on the south side, on Tapajado, we have existing sidewalk. On the north side, we currently don't have any sidewalks. With the complete street plans, we are directed to put sidewalk on both sides. So we're here trying to get a direction of either to put sidewalk on the north side or not. There is few issues that we have currently with the design that is preventing us from putting a sidewalk on the north side. We have electrical pole that will need to be relocated along the whole north side. There's 5 of them at least that needs to be relocated on the north side of the Tapajado. We have trees that will need to be cut out in order for the sidewalk to fit in. And then all the existing driveway will have to be removed and replaced in order for the sidewalk to actually tie in with the driveway as well. And with the estimate that we currently have, this put us at 24% cost increase to our current budget. And with the complete street plans, there is a 22% threshold. If it's above that, we typically don't add a sidewalk. So with this street here, we're currently above that 22% threshold on the Tapajado area. The next one is Opal Drive.
Let's talk about this one real quick.
Okay.
So the $307,000 does not include the cost to relocate all the electric poles, the 5 electric poles that would need to be added. So that would actually
Be added.
significantly increase the cost above that.
The other street is Opal Drive. That's from Joel's to from Joe to Crystal Drive. As you can see, we have existing sidewalk on the east side. On the north side, on the west side doesn't have any sidewalk currently. We currently have a design that shows a sidewalk on the west side. Everything seems to be fine except the driveway, kind of near the crystal. So the existing slope on the driveway is like 8.6% now. If we do put a sidewalk through there, that's going to increase the driveway to a 21%. So it's going to be hard for people to access that driveway as soon as we put a sidewalk through there. So we're hoping not to put a sidewalk through there to not interrupt with the business at this location currently. The cost increase on this section was 32% if we end up putting a sidewalk through this section.
So driveways, when they get, above that 10%, 13%, bumpers start scraping on the crown of the road. And so we're very conscious of too steep of driveways and impacting businesses especially, but even residential that are in and out regularly, those steep driveways are problematic. So we would be open to any questions.
Questions?
It's been a while since we've talked through this. So we have some streets in Ames that don't have any sidewalks that are residential, like Ross Road. And yeah, we're going to spend quite a bit of money in adding a second sidewalk on top of Hollow. Could you walk us through the prioritization? We have highly trafficked areas like Ross that don't have sidewalks, and then we're adding a second sidewalk where we already have an existing one. Could you walk us through that?
Right. So some of the previous years we've come to before you, and there's been areas that it was not fully connected on even one side of the street. And so we've, infilled sidewalk in some of those locations where we've been able to provide that connectivity. We have connectivity on both of these. It would just be infilling on both sides, and it's residential, lower volume of pedestrian traffic, but they do have a full accessible, ADA accessible way on both Top of Hollow and on Opal Drive. So those other locations, such as Ross Road, when we would come forward with those in the capital improvements plan to do road improvements or such, then, or if there's a petition that somebody would want it infilled, then we could identify that as a location to maybe try and get connectivity on one side so that there's at least a walkability component. The other example that we did was Dawes Drive near Top of Hollow. And again, that was kind of a rural cross section with ditches. And so then we widened the road, but put a separation so that there could be a safe walkable component right adjacent to that roadway.
So just to clarify, so what's driving this is redoing the street.
Mhm.
So,
But they're recommending not.
We're recommending
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the fact that it's coming, the reason why this is being looked at is because of the street
Yep, that's
being
correct.
redone.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, we have not received any requests from the public, but we have not gone out to a public meeting yet either. We wanted to get before you, and then we will go out to the public, because then we will have a little more direction to be able to have a better conversation with the neighborhood.
Tracy, do we know what the condition of the sidewalk is on the other side where we've got the connectivity? Seems like these are, relatively speaking, newer subdivisions than Old Town or something like that.
Right, and you can kind of see it on this stretch. We drove it even again today because
Yeah.
we wanted to make sure and I did not see any. We didn't walk it, but we did not see any that was clearly faulted or missing panels or anything that was clearly an obstruction. So, if there is one or two faults in there, we can, maybe fix those when we're going near there, or we can, identify it and let the property owners know.
How about on Opal?
Opal
Opal's the
was
same.
really good condition. Yeah, we saw people actually walking in the area,
Yeah, I'll put you in good
using it.
condition.
So just following up on that, it sounds like it's something you do kind of look for, but it's maybe not a formal part of the process to look at the existing sidewalks. Is
So
that
the
true?
existing sidewalks are the responsibility of the adjacent property owners.
Understood.
So that's not where we go in to make the improvements with the roadway. So what we are looking at is the accessibility. So the pedestrian ramps and then making that connection with the legal slopes that we can do on those pedestrian ramps tying into the existing. So those are the areas that we're going to look at. Also, if we need to replace the concrete approach for the road, then maybe because of grades changing, we might have to impact the sidewalk cross section that goes through the driveway. So those are oftentimes what we're looking at the closest with the roads.
I understand. And so I just wondered for the future whether council might want to set a priority on whenever we're doing like a major road reconstruction project, maybe we should formally say, let's make sure all the sidewalks are in ship shape, even the ones that are not formally part of the project. Maybe it's just a matter of having someone walk through it and make notes and get in touch with the property owner. So maybe sometimes we could consider stepping in and making some changes ourselves, but it's not part of the program as I understand it right now. Seems like something we might want to consider.
Yeah, I think with that, staff would need some direction so that we can start incorporating those into the capital improvements plan, or start, as we're doing a walkthrough, including the appropriate staff who will be notifying those property owners that they need to make those improvements.
Thanks.
Who does actually do that kind of notification?
Well, so Public Works Operations, and in combination with building inspections, we coordinate.
That's a complaint-based system, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes it'll be, like we have one that we've been dealing with that's in front of our rental. So then we've been coordinating with building inspections and.
Any other questions for Tracy? All right, open up public input. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to address council on this item? Seeing none, we'll close public input. Council, is there a motion directing staff relative to this topic,
Move alternative number 1.
which is?
Direct staff to design both parcels with no new sidewalk infill.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carried. David, do you want to make a motion on? Yeah, I think I'd like to try it. I mean, this might be premature, but how about this? I'd like to move to ask staff in future planning stages like this to review the existing sidewalk quality in addition to your ADA compliance, and simply report that as part of your investigation of the project, so council can start to gather information about it.
A second.
Okay.
Should that be part of the Complete Streets program?
I don't know. I'm not really asking to change the Complete Streets program. Maybe that's the right way to do it ultimately, but what do you think? Should it be there, or? Feedback, Tracy?
I think collecting data for a while is always good before you start changing the policy, but I think we can start incorporating this more informally. And then if it's starting to, really impact project costs, then we might need to look at it. But I think with just your direction, I don't think we need to, it's more of an informal policy for us. We're doing walkthroughs on these streets already, looking at fine-tuned details of every structure, utility, curb, all of that. So us just walking the sidewalks and adding that is not a big deal.
All right. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Very good. Thank you. Moving on to item number 26, Arts Capital Grant Program. Brian?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The council allocated $200,000 in the city budget for an Arts Capital Grant Program during the budget wrap-up back in February. And we have gathered some feedback from members of the Public Art Commission and the Commission on the Arts. regarding what that program might look like, and are presenting it tonight to see if you support that direction. It's important to note that it seems that the concept for this program does not necessarily mean you would need to be an arts organization in order to take advantage of it. And so the criteria have been written a little more broad than that, such that any organization that might have some arts or performance or entertaining kind of a function could make a case to access this funding. We have provided a series of questions for the applicants that are trying to get at more what would this project create or do that is different than something that's already found in the community. So we're trying to evaluate on that basis to get new, fun, vibrant, exciting ideas that otherwise wouldn't be possible. Additionally, one of the things that's important in a program such as this, we believe, is to provide ample time for the individuals or organizations that are intending to apply to, one, develop a well thought out proposal, and two, implement a fully cooked project. So to achieve that, we're proposing that the application period be about 2 months long, which is about twice what it typically might be for an arts type grant. And the period of time that the organization or individual or entity would have to complete the improvements would be about 1.5 years. So we would intend to carry over the funding in order to fully take advantage of that longer period of time. So these components have been incorporated into the application and the criteria form that's attached to the council action form. If the council is supportive of this, then we can go ahead and begin the process of advertising the opportunity and collecting applications. If the council has any concerns about the direction that's been set forth here, we certainly can make amendments to it before it goes out to the community. I'm happy to take any questions or feedback or comments.
I just have one quick question. You mentioned the spend down requirement, and that was what I was going to ask about, because I don't see in here, and maybe I just can't find it, where it says the time requirement for the funds to be spent down.
Yeah, the project would have to be complete by.
I know I'm missing it. I just can't.
It's in the council action form. Just before the alternatives, the project completion date would be June 30th, 2023. I don't know if it's in the criteria form.
That's what
it
I was.
certainly would be
yeah.
in. The next step after this would be as applications come in, we would need to develop a contract.
Okay.
And it certainly would be included in the contract along with all of the other terms we would need to have in order to remain compliant with our accounting standards and so forth. So we would include that certainly in the contract.
Okay.
Other questions?
Do the spaces have to be permanent spaces? Or can they be, fixed spaces, or can they be mobile spaces? I ask that because we've got that new music, I don't even know what it's called.
Music on the move?
Yeah, on the move, that's it.
So typically when we think about capital, we think about something that is lasting. It doesn't necessarily have to be a brick and mortar structure. Here, the criteria that have been drafted indicate that we're creating, renovating, or improving a space for arts or artists. I suppose a stage that you can park in a garage and pull out regularly over a period of 5 years could be interpreted to count, but it would be up to the evaluation committee to make that determination. If you want that kind of thing to be more clearly included, then I think we would need to make a change. One thing I would caution is, there are a lot of capital grant programs that exist that exclude certain things like vehicles just because those tend to be kind of fraught with additional issues. So I would encourage you to avoid vehicles for an agency or for an organization.
We did exclude that in the human services capital.
Right. And that's why I bring that up. So a lot of these criteria are based on that program.
But that's not specific in here, right? It's not made explicitly impossible by these criteria.
Well,
Is it? I mean,
again,
I kinda looked
we're going back to the criteria: create, renovate, or improve a space for arts or artists. I think a vehicle wouldn't meet that definition. If you're talking about a mobile music stage, that could
or a
potentially count.
mobile
Be up to the-
studio that pulls into a neighborhood and people, I'm just trying to think of things that people might propose that we don't necessarily want to fund. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe we do want to fund that, but like Amber said, we did specifically call that out in the Human Services Grant Program.
I don't know that I don't want to fund that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just raising the issue because I could see somebody putting in for that since it isn't explicitly
I'd say let them.
limited.
Okay. I mean, it's okay. Or, I mean, if you want to move that it's not.
I'm not making a motion.
Sure.
I'm asking.
I mean, it does present some potential challenges. I mean, that's anytime you're applying for capital grants, vehicles are often excluded from any type of funding because if you're not purchasing a brand new vehicle, it opens up a whole bunch of issues, especially if we're talking about clawbacks and if there were a problem with it just presents challenges.
Vehicles can be used for a lot of things
They
that
can.
aren't art
Yeah.
related.
It's
They
just
break
hard to
down.
manage.
There are a lot of issues with vehicles specifically. A mobile music stage is a unique kind of an idea. I think it's important to also note, that nothing is going to be awarded that doesn't come through the city council.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to see the actual recommendations and determine whether that or not those meet your interest. So it is difficult to conceive of all of the potential things that might be included at this point without having seen them.
Other questions, comments? Right. I just had a couple. I know that under eligible projects, projects receiving funding must, and it says include matching funds of at least 25%. Matching funds must be in the form of cash. And I understand that cash in the broadest sense is actually something you would borrow potentially. And I'm just wondering if it'd be beneficial just to kind of include some kind of either a definition somewhere, in that, or just so people know that if someone's going to do a $100,000 improvement and they're going to borrow, if they have a letter of credit showing they can provide it and draw it down.
Yeah, we ask for a budget submittal that will differentiate between in-kind contributions and then various cash loans.
I saw that in your application. Yeah. Okay.
Certainly, if there are questions about what somebody has submitted to the group that's evaluating these, would be free to ask some follow-up questions and get clarification.
The other question was sometimes there's pre-submission conference or where people can come and be asked questions, or you can kind of review the overall grant to interested parties, and then if there are clarifications that are helpful, you can issue an addendum. Is that something that was considered as a possibility, or is that something you would just do anyway? Or
I don't think that the feedback from the individuals on Public Art Commission and CODA made that kind of a recommendation. It's something that we certainly could do. I think our experience from the small arts grants is more on it suggests that it's not the upfront application piece that requires clarification. It's the compliance. Once you have a contract, what is your expectation now? What kinds of documentation do we need back in order to make it work? I'm certainly open to
No,
holding a
pre-proposal submission. Yeah. And with the questions that people have be directed to you. I know the applications go to you, but I just didn't know.
Yes.
If you want to clarify that, any questions on it can be submitted to you. Just, trying to minimize people calling and asking, who do I send questions to? But, right. All right. I'll open up public input. Anyone wish to address council on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public input. Is there a motion?
Move alternative 1
Second.
Which is?
to approve the attached arts capital grant program outline and application.
Thank you, Rachel. All right. Any further discussion? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carried. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, move on to item 27, resolution approving a minor amendment to Ames Urban Fringe Plan Framework and Land Use Class Map to change land located at 2105 and 2421 Dayton Avenue from Ag and Farm Service to Planned Industrial. Hey, Justin.
Hello, thank you. All right, so good evening. We have a request for a minor amendment to the Ames Urban Fringe Plan Framework and Land Use Class Map. This property, as you can see there, is located along Dayton Avenue between the Eagles Loft Daycare on the north and BASF owns the property to the south, directly west of the USDA facilities. The necessity tonight of considering this is that the property owner intends to eventually annex this property into the city for what they describe as a smaller scale industrial development. And so in order to begin that process, the land use designation outside of the city limits in Story County has to fit an urban service category. And so planned industrial in the urban services category is what the current land use plan requires for an annexation to be considered or for land to be brought into the city. The owner is represented by Chuck Winkleblack of Hunsaker Companies. Again, as I said, the intention is for small scale industrial. This would not be the larger scale industrial that we would look to see east of I-35 in the East Industrial area. The eventual zoning designation, once annexed, will likely be or will be industrial in order to accommodate the proposed development. One thing I'll note from the report is the land that you see there. So the current designation is Ag and Farm Service, and that is in the agriculture conservation category. You do have a small portion of natural area there, which comes onto the north parcel of the two parcels of land that are considered. That natural area designation will remain while both of the properties will fall under the urban services category. So that's just something to bear in mind going forward. That natural area will maintain or will stay there. And then, of course, we do tie this in and we do take consideration now with the Ames Plan 2040 future land use map. As you can see here, and it's pointed out, that is in the employment category under the 2040 plan, and the employment category would support industrial development. So the kind of the timeline, I believe that the developer is on as far as annexation would put the eventual annexation about the time that 2040 approximately would be adopted. So we would be then operating under that land use plan. So we would want to make sure that it lines up with that intention. So as part of this, Story County must also concurrently approve a change to the land use here. They are aware of the application. They do plan to take this up in October. So once you make your decision tonight, we will pass that along to them. I can answer any questions you might have.
Questions?
How, and I don't know if it's I should have asked Chuck via email first, but how is this area different from, isn't there a smaller industrial area that's under TIF currently?
Yes, it's on Lincoln Way. It's our Ames Community Industrial Park. Is that what you're referring to?
It's I guess I was also thinking it was Winkle Black and under TIF and industrial, smaller scale though, not the big Eastern industrial area, but isn't there a smaller one?
South Bell.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
We do have some along South Bell that the TIF is applied to.
Yeah,
I don't.
that's the one we're talking about.
So I guess I'm wondering if that one, if that one's not at capacity. You
No,
know.
I think you reported last time.
It is. I see.
It's at capacity right now.
I see. Okay.
I remember there's a companion question. One is dealing with land use. They've also asked you to make that a TIF project. That was referred to us too. We recommend that be a competitive type of approach, not just grant that incentive to this property. So think of those two separate actions. This is just regardless if you give them the incentive or not, they're asking for this change in land use so they can develop it. But the word is that it's almost totally built out.
Okay.
So we need more of the smaller lots.
Okay.
Remember, it's not like the lots you're going to see in the eastern area where we just put the water and sewer line in, because those are going to be 40-acre, 60-acre lots. So,
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Justin, is the natural area always an overlay designation?
So in this particular case, the natural area is just a land use class designation or framework designation, rather. You can see it a little better there. The overlay, anytime we do have an environmentally sensitive overlay, and that applies to our floodplains, to our floodways, specifically within those. So the natural area in this case, that once annexation and rezoning occurs, the entire property will be rezoned, but it will still have that framework of natural area, that finger that kind of comes onto the northwest part of the property there on the land use map. At least this land use map shows that at this time.
So the other stuff on this map that is natural area does not have an underlying zone to it?
You're talking the stuff here further to the
Yeah.
west and north. So a lot of that stuff may potentially have county zoning on it right now out in the county. It could be an A1, could be a ag residential. I'm not exactly familiar with what the specific underlying zoning is there. As far as our city zoning goes, we don't have a specific base zoning layer that applies specifically to natural area.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Other questions? All right, open up public input. Does anyone wish to address council on this item tonight? Seeing none, we'll close public input. Is there a motion on resolution approving a minor amendment to the Ames Urban Fringe Plan Framework and Land Use Class Map?
Move approval?
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Thanks, Justin. All right, moving on to item 28, hearing on lease agreement between the City of Ames and Youth and Shelter Services for parking lot P. Council, does anyone have any questions for staff on this item? If not, I'll declare the public hearing on this item to be open. Does anyone wish to address council on the lease agreement between the City of Ames and Youth and Shelter Services for parking lot P? Seeing none, declare the public hearing to be closed. Entertain a motion on resolution approving the lease agreement between the City of Ames and Youth and Shelter Services for parking lot P in a term of 10 years.
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Item 29, hearing on request to vacate existing pedestrian easement located along the eastern 10 feet of 409 Waller Street. I see Tracy here. Hi.
Yes.
How are you? Is there any, unless you have comments you think are germane, I think the staff report was well done. Is there any questions for staff? Not to try and steal your thunder, but
No, Cesar and I are here in case you have any questions.
Is this Cesar's first appearance in our city council?
He was on one of the Zoom ones sitting in the background, but yes, this is his first time. He comes to the meetings, but this is the first time up here.
okay, so we're not gonna let him not be able to.
Right, he has to speak a little, yeah.
So welcome aboard, and we're pleased to have you. And if you want to just hit the highlights, we'll go from there. How's that sound?
Yes, the property owner has contacted planning and has asked for a pedestrian easement to be vacated so that he can expand his driveway. And Cesar's been working with the landowner and planning on this item. So he has brought a layout there. So it's the gold area, if you can point maybe to the easement area that needs to be vacated there. Yes, right there, so that he can widen his driveway. And it, when the whole subdivision was platted, the school was not planned yet. It was basically an empty lot. And so once they came in with their site plan, it ended up that the stormwater management was down in that southern area. And so this easement is not connected really to any sidewalk versus on the east side, there are two different sidewalks that come through.
Okay. Questions? All right, declare the public hearing on the request to vacate existing pedestrian easement located along the eastern 10 feet of 4901 Waller Street to be open. Is there anyone who wants to address council on this item? Hearing none, we declare the public hearing to be closed. Entertain a motion on resolution vacating existing pedestrian easement located along eastern 10 feet of 4901 Waller Street.
Move alternative one.
Second.
Thank you. Which is approving the,
City council can approve the vacation of the existing pedestrian easement.
thank you. All right. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 30, hearing on Southeast 16th Street and South Duff Avenue, transmission modifications. Any questions for staff on this one? Hearing none, declare public hearing on this item to be open. Is there anyone that wants to address council on this topic? Hearing none, entertain a motion on resolution approving final plan specifications and awarding the contract to IES Commercial of Holdridge, Nebraska, in the amount of $529,140.38, inclusive of sales tax.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Council, if you wouldn't, if I'd like to just take a moment, there's one item under the disposition of communications to council regarding the solar, there's a memo from Don on retail solar net metering. And I just wanted to see if, Don, if you don't mind, if there's any, if you have any questions for Don before he takes off. Thank you for the report. It was well done. Questions?
I do have a question. First, thank you very much for this memo. I'm going to try to keep this the minimum. I know it's not really on the agenda. So I like the proposal in the memo, and so I'm grateful that you'll be investigating that this fall. I do have a question for you. When you're looking at the investigating the rebate only model that you mentioned, would it be possible to also investigate whether there are any improvements that can be made to the application, permitting, and approval procedures?
Thank you. Yeah, we can look at that. One thing that we did, this was in 2018, 2019, we actually looked at all of our processes from inspections to electric to planning and housing. And I think we even received, I think I see Soul Smart Award up there. So we were granted an award for being kind of forward thinking, but we can definitely look at it again.
Maybe that's just then repeating what you've already told us and I've forgotten.
That's
That
okay.
would be helpful.
And you want to just review what your next steps are, Don?
So one of the things that we're looking at is, and as council's aware, we have a URAB, an advisory board appointed by the mayor, where they've started looking at this and looking at how the program is being used. We're finding a lot of the newer projects that are coming in, they're greatly oversizing their solar panels so that it's more than pushing energy out. And what we want to do is try to create programs that work towards allowing, if I can say it, not just those that are more affluent that can afford solar panels, but try to create a program where everyone in our community, if they so choose, could put up solar panels. The alternative to that, we still have our solar farm down in the southern part of the city, and that's still available to buy power packs in that project too. But so that's what we're kind of looking at is how do we improve the program to make it more accessible to all in the city.
Now, the one question I have is we're thinking about the role of subsidies in this program. Shouldn't we also be thinking about this in terms of the context of a potential climate action plan that we develop for the city? So I just assume there's going to be some significant costs associated with that. And so I would just want to throw that out there. That it seems like we should be thinking about those in tandem.
Excellent question. So some of the things that we're looking at in that particular case is using the solar farm as an example, where we kind of open it up to people. That was probably not the best model to go with. So we're looking at a more traditional generation model where we're finding that if you look at large scale solar, it's much cheaper than, say, every homeowner or many homeowners putting it on their home. So we're kind of doing the pros and cons of what that looks like so we can both see if residential customers or our retail customers want to install solar, they can, or those that want to support through the climate action plan or as part of that, something like 25 megawatts or 50 megawatts of solar are things that we're looking at going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 31, hearing on nuisance assessments continued from September 14th, 2021. Council, I was informed this afternoon that the sidewalk repair and replacement costs were paid for by the property owner. So the only thing is remaining are the properties for snow and ice removal. So I'll declare the public hearing on nuisance assessments to be open. So anyone that wants to address council on this item? Seeing none, declare the public hearing to be closed. Entertain a motion on resolution assessing costs of snow and ice removal and certifying assessments to Story County Treasurer.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Roll call.
So I just have one question. So I don't always remember to ask this, but I always am curious, have any of these parties contacted the city to offer any kind of explanation about the challenges they had and that we should know about?
They would typically work with Public Works on that end of it. As far as the payment part, no, we haven't heard. Generally, these, I mean, it's here because we haven't heard anything. If if they made arrangements, we wouldn't be here with the assessment.
Mhm.
Typically, we try to work with the property owner. If they have some problems, we've probably been criticized by giving too much time to remove the snow. So I don't know of any particular problems.
Okay.
We're not trying to catch somebody who's out of town or
right
for the weekend and then charge them with this.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain a conflict of interest on one of these properties.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you. And item 32, hearing on amendments to fiscal year 2021-22 adopted budget for carryovers from fiscal year 2020-2021. Nancy and Dwayne.
We see every year about this time for the carryover amendments. Sometimes there's some items on here that are new, but, and Nancy can talk a little bit more about this, but I believe this year it's just items that you approved in the prior year, 2021, that were not completed. That's a typical arrangement with this being the construction season, but we still need authority to do spending. So we bring those ahead with a budget amendment that first one of the year. We get those entered. It helps people track them. And by state code, we're not allowed to exceed the budget in any program at any time. That's why we want to get the amendment approved early in the year. So they're listed out both in groups and some details in the back. So if there's any specific projects or areas you have questions on, we're here to discuss that.
Any questions for Dwayne or Nancy? Seeing none, declare a public hearing on the amendment to fiscal year 21-22 adopted budget for carryovers from fiscal year 2021 to be open. Anyone wish to address council? Seeing none, declare the public hearing to be closed. Entertain a motion.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to item 33, second passage of ordinance removing all parking requirements for auditoriums, theaters, stadiums, and arenas within the downtown service center and campus town service center zoning districts.
Move on second.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you. And item 34, second passage of ordinance as amended, creating the Resident Police Advisory Committee.
Move on second.
Second.
And just to be clear, this was previously amended, not recently, right?
Correct. Yes, it was as discussed at the last council meeting, as included in the packet.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you. And thank you, council, for allowing me to slip in Mr. Combs so we can make sure we have his answers. So one item remaining on disposition of communications of council, and that's an email from Ashley Terrell requesting a speed study to be conducted on Ridgetop Road.
Now, rather than a memo, I think I would ask you to direct staff, direct the traffic engineer to put this project on a list of projects to do a speed study. In other words, don't ask for a memo. I think Damien thinks it's an area that should be studied, hadn't in a long time, but it'll be in line with other projects. So I can't say it won't be done, but it'll be on his list. So skip the memo, go right to direct staff to perform a speed study.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, council comments. Trevor.
Yes, I have a few things tonight. So first off, tomorrow I'm talking to the Student Government Senate about the 2040 plan and the Climate Action Plan. So hopefully they will start getting input from their students. That's the plan with that. We're also setting up the joint city council and student government meeting that I'm not super sure on the date yet, but I will know that soon. And that is all.
Thank you. Bronwyn.
Nothing for me tonight, thanks.
David.
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Amber.
Nothing.
Rachel.
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Congratulations to Octagon 50th Art Festival. That was great success. Beautiful weather, lots of vendors, lots of people out. So congrats on that. And just a quick follow-up. The program I mentioned last time on recidivism was held last Thursday. It's available on the Ames NAACP Facebook site and on YouTube. So encourage people. It's an hour. And I think it was very successful. I think people learned a lot, and encourage people to watch that. So.
Saturday was Play Ames, our first civic engagement fest. And I want to thank those of you who came out for that and worked at the locations. I think people enjoyed the day, and we now have a new mural on the side of the building at the corner of 5th and Burnett. The exciting thing for me was seeing our small arts grant program in action at both that festival and at the Octagon Arts Festival with the eco arts performances and pop-up display that was funded by the small art grant program. And I encourage people to seek out that display when it's available. I believe it's going to be next, maybe in the public library. So watch for that and explore climate action. I think that's all I've got.
Very good. Thank you. I'll just mention too is that a week from tomorrow at noon, City Council invites people to participate in the Healthiest Ames Walk downtown. So I know that a number of the council members will be present there. So come on down and walk and enjoy what we hope to be is a wonderful day of weather. We'll see. We're doing good so far. So anyway. All right. With that, we need to go into closed session. So someone wish to ask Mark the $24,000 question or whatever?
Move that Tim ask the question.
Okay, I forgot the question. I don't remember what it is.
Can I ask it? Can I ask it?
You're in. You're in.
Mr. City Attorney, do we have, can we rely on your advice for a legal basis to enter into closed session?
Yes, Iowa Code Section 21.51C allows the council to go into closed session to discuss matters in litigation or threatened litigation.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to go into closed session.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Go back in the open session. Thank you. All right. Council, is there a motion and resolution approving settlement agreement with Anna Ernst for $20,000.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Martin.
Aye.
Dee Hansen.
Aye.
Betcher.
Aye.
Garten.
Nay.
Joe.
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.